Very Last Life, Chapter 24, Viktor Frankl versus the cat. So I was feeling myself slide into depression once more. Again, as usual. You know, whenever I have, that's my go-to. Depression is like my go-to place for when I'm alone and have time to think about life. So that's what I do. So I had, I took some time off, right? I had, I did a good job today. I worked hard and I got one or two things finished. Not everything I wanted to do, but one or two things. So it was pretty good. It was a good day, and for a Sunday, and I was supposed to be taking time off on a Sunday anyway. So I said, when it became evening, I said, it's my time off. It's my me time. It's relax. And then the depression came on, and it's not really, when I say depression, what I mean is kind of a whiny self-pity, kind of like. Kind of like I like wallowing in the mud and complaining about life and feeling like I'm the victim. That kind of depression, not a real actual clinical serious depression that you cure with drugs, is the kind of depression that you basically you need sex or you need to go to a movie or something. It's not. It's so that kind of depression. So I felt it coming on, and I thought, I don't want to do this. It's getting old. It's embarrassing, and I don't want my life to be in this this morass of whiny self-reflection. Of course, that's what I do. That's probably the only thing I do with any kind of passion or talent, but still, I don't want. So I thought, so how do I get out of this? What do I do? And I realized, of course, the thing that I have to do whenever I get into this, and I guess this is probably the kind of thing that even psychologists will recommend, is to think about your purpose in life. And in my purpose in life, when I think of purpose, I think of Viktor Frankl. Let me tell you about Viktor Frankl. He's an Austrian. He was an Austrian, a Jewish Holocaust survivor. He survived the Holocaust. And then he went to America and wrote many books and founded a kind of a sometimes trendy, sometimes well-liked area of psychology, which he forms around the idea of purpose, of people having a purpose in life, and his great book, and it's a great book. I read it not too long ago, and it's really a fantastic book. Everyone should read it. I think it's called Man's Search for Purpose. But there's one, if you look up Viktor Frankl, Victor with a K, and then Frankl, Frankl. If you don't know him, read the Wikipedia thing, and the main book, his main book is there. He's written many books, or he had written many books, and the main book is there. I think it's Man's Search for Purpose, the English edition. You should read it. It's a good book. And he, as a lot of it is autobiographical. He talks about getting through the Holocaust. It's like getting through math class. It's like getting through the Holocaust. Jesus, what a way to put it. Okay, anyway, so he talks about surviving the Holocaust and his mental games to do that. And part of it is wondering what his purpose is in life. And purpose. I come from a church, and so I believe in God, or believed in God. I kind of still do. Not as much as I did, but I in a way I still do. So, okay, so and people who are like religious or spiritual often believe in like a metaphysical, a larger purpose, a purpose that goes beyond being just a normal human being, a purpose given to you by God. And this is this great big crushing purpose as kind of like the great unanswered questions in life. And of course, you can't answer a question. What is your purpose in life? If God gave you a purpose in life, then why didn't he tell you about it? And if your purpose in life is to like do good in the world, to make the world a better place, if God put you on the earth, to make the world a better place, why didn't he just make the world a better place in the first place? It's his world. He created it, right? So why did he intentionally create a faulty world full of horror, and then give us the purpose of making it better? Well, isn't it his responsibility? So this huge metaphysical spiritual idea of purpose, this larger than life idea of purpose and meaning, is kind of a dead end. It's kind of our way of searching for something that we know we're never going to get. And so it's kind of like, an old high school teacher of mine would have called it mental masturbation. We pretend to be looking for a purpose, but really we know it's just all kind of, it's a theoretical and abstract thought game, which doesn't really go anywhere. It's like those funny little machines you can get where there's a switch at the box with a switch, and when you switch the switch, from A to B, a hand reaches out of the box and puts the switch back on B, or on A. So the whole purpose of the box that you build is to turn the box off, right? So you turn it on in order to turn it off. So it's like that. So this search for purpose, this metaphysical, grand, spiritual, theoretical, purely theoretical, only theoretical search for purpose is like that. It's kind of like a dead end. And so I'm so grateful. I really am. It really changed, a big part of my life. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Purpose. The whole thing in the book the whole point of the book is that the purpose is a very real, practical thing, and you decide it yourself. It's not God. God doesn't set you on earth for a certain purpose. You decide what your purpose is here on earth. And that changed the way I think. It's because he says, if your purpose is to help other people, in an old person's home, then that's what you have to do. If your purpose is to write and to try to write the great book, if that's your purpose, then that's what you have to do. And most of us, and this practical, very clear, human way of looking at spiritual foundations, the core, the heart of our human spirit is based on actual human life, practical human life. And we all have, I think, starting from kids, we have some kind of purpose. We start imagining things that what we want to do when we're kids. We have this, in a way, it's probably kind of like a hero vision. We have the hero vision of, I want to be a great baseball player. I want to be a nurse like Florence Nightingale, and in a war administer to the wounded. And that's the purpose. That's our purpose. We imagine something appeals to our nature, and we go for it, and it develops, and over in our lives, this develops into something that we want to do. And we don't necessarily see it as a purpose. We just see it as something that we want to do. But in fact, it's our purpose. And my purpose is, writing that great book, that one great book that eludes me. But it can be just doing good. It can be having a family and taking over the responsibility for a family, for raising new life. What it can be greater than that? It can be any of those things, practical things we actually do in life, not, being Jesus Christ, but actually doing something in life, actually founding a family and trying to hold it together and doing all you can to make this family successful and something that, from which children will go forth and be better human beings. And that's purpose. And that's, Viktor Frankl, The Purpose, Man's Search for Purpose, The Purpose of Man, Man's Search for Purpose. Read it. It's a practical self-definition of purpose. And so, okay, so I'm going, full circle around to what was I talking about? I sat down and I thought to myself, what is my purpose? Okay, so I wrote down let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 things. 4 things. And I've said this before, and this is the whole week I've been thinking about what the purposes of writing, what the purposes of reading is. Reading has a purpose. It has a use. You don't buy a book because you feel some kind of moral obligation to literature. You buy a book because you want something. You need something. You need to be entertained. You need to escape for a few hours. You need to, get caught up in a page turner. You need this experience of that. You need you need instruction how to change a tire. So you buy a nonfiction book about how to change a tire. You have to exercise your mind. So you buy a book about history and find out and think about learn more about history that you didn't know before, and you think about what life is and what this world is, and those are all needs. Those are uses of books. The usefulness of a book, even a flimsy love story. If you have the need to connect with love again in an abstract theoretical way, and you buy a love story to read the love story, then it fulfills a purpose. That book fulfills a purpose. Okay, so that's writing. But coming back to my purpose, I was thinking along those lines, and so I wrote down 4 things that I can give to the world. They're not necessarily big things. They're not all unique to me. None of them are strictly unique to me, but some of them are rarer in other people. And they're not all necessarily good. I mean, maybe the things I have to give the world are not actually, the world doesn't need them or want them. But it's what I have. It's the thing I have. It's the thing I can do. Okay, so my purpose is when writing books, something I can give is my experience as an outsider. I came from America to Germany, 2 cultures, saw both cultures, learned to look at life from an outsider's perspective. A lot of that is very political. It's about the history and the mentality of Americans and Germans and the differences, and that's kind of a social political thing. So that's one. The mystical search for superhuman, more than earthly, more than physical, more than daily life fulfillment. Not only purpose, but fulfillment. This feeling that your soul needs to be fulfilled. I've been searching for that all my life. I think that's a legacy of Mormonism, that I was raised a Mormon, searching for this kind of spiritual, larger than life fulfillment. Maybe it's not. I mean, other people who are not Mormons have the same urge, the same need. So it maybe it's not, has nothing to do with, but Mormonism impacted on that. A lot of what I think spiritually was, of course, informed by Mormonism. So the chronology, the search, this mystical search for fulfillment, that's something I can write about because other people do the same thing. Men and women out there, they're caught up in the same need, and I can express my experiences even though I will never find fulfillment. Probably doesn't matter. The journey, the attempt, the strenuousness, the straining, the need to get that, other people have to know. There are other people in the world who have to know about that and need to know about it. I know I do. So okay, so that's the second thing, and the third thing would be experience in general. I'm an older guy, and when I turned 60, I realized, at some point turning 60, I'm still not 61, so I'm still in this year of realizing who I am as an older person. I realized that I've made a lot of experience that younger people haven't made, and the experience that I wish older people would have given me when I was young, or alternatively, that I wish older people would have offered me, and I would have listened or wanted to listen. I mean, it was there. Older people are willing to share their experiences, but you have you have to be not so full of yourself as I was, and be willing to listen to and find out and explore those experiences. But okay, so I wasn't that person, but it's something I can give. Probably no one is interested in getting it, but it's something I have to give. And there's number 4, a darkness. I only learned that there was a weird, deep, mysterious, hard to understand, perplexing darkness in me when I wrote the thriller Emma Carl, the Emma Carl trilogy. It opened up some weird darkness in me, and I think it's the animal, my animal brain, my amygdala, the dark depths, the mysterious depths of my amygdala, the thing that controls us and doesn't care about what we think about it. It just does what it wants to do. The amygdala, this primitive brain, this dark thing deep in my skull, which, many of us would like to reach in and tear out, but of course we can't, because it's there. It's like tearing out the circuitry of a robot. You can't do it. But you can't live with it either, but you can't live without it, right? So this darkness is a thing. A friend of mine, a girlfriend of mine, said, I like the stories you write that are so positive and life affirming, but I don't understand these thrillers. They were so horrifying for me because they were so brutal and mean and about the suffering of life, and reading those, I didn't understand it. But then I came to understand that you needed to do this just for money, just to survive as a writer, to get for the market, because the market wants it. And she said, this is how I see it. You are doing this for commercial purposes. And it was strange that someone would think that, because I mean, everything I write about, everything I do, there's always some element of the marketplace, because I want to be a working writer, a writer who works for business, who sells books and lives from writing, right? So I always have to think about the half of my mind is always thinking about the marketplace, but my dark, brutal thrillers had nothing to do with that. Commercial, it is a part of me. It really comes out of me. That's there. I recognize myself in the world I created with Astrid. She recognizes herself too in this, for this Emma Carl trilogy, the trilogy of thrillers that we wrote, which are very dark and brutal, and that's my amygdala speaking. This dark circuitry in the brain, left by an earlier intelligence, left by aliens who visited us from space and injected in us some software program that we wish we didn't have, but which we cannot tear out without killing ourselves. That's the amygdala. I love it. The primal brain, this little nut inside our heads that overpowers us and makes us do things we don't want to do. The animal side of us. And so there you have it, There are these two sides. There's this grand spiritual yearning for something more than human, more than earth life, and there is this dark, utterly animalistic part of us that only wants to, eat, have sex, sleep, and kill everyone else. That's, and those two sides of us, we exist in the tension between those two poles. And I feel the tension in both. And I sit here and I wonder what I want in life, which pole I want. There are beautiful things in both. There's a beauty of maybe a failed search for mystical, metaphysical fulfillment. And then there's the the search for animalistic fulfillment, for the fulfillment of our simple daily animal selves, which is, about eating, sex, and love in the end. I think the height of our animal life is love, not sex. Sex, of course, is the biological imperative. We have to have sex. Okay, we need to eat, we need shelter. Okay, good. But what satisfies most our animal selves? What calms us? What makes us happy? What makes us feel fulfilled? It's this warm touch of love. And so on this animal side of us, I think the greatest thing we can do is love and feel love. And on the spiritual side of us, the greatest thing we can do is some kind of abstract, theoretical, physical fulfillment that probably does not exist. And so there we go. I'm talking about some kind of spiritual fulfillment here, but really, is that what I want? Would that fulfill me, satisfy me, make me content? Would it be the answer to anything, or do I really need to, go into the room and hug a warm body, a person who, needs love and just needs to know that she or he, me also, is not alone in this world. This dark animal amygdala is still frightened, wants to kill everyone, but is also frightened and wants to know that he is not alone. So there it is. The two poles of our existence: spiritual fulfillment or love. Can you have both? Probably not. Well, maybe. I guess theoretically you can. And then I realized, thinking about all this, these two poles, that's the core of the book I keep trying to write, Cannibal Clan. There's several books I keep trying to write, and I will never succeed. These are all books that, and one of the satisfaction of talking about them is that at least I get to talk about them. I'm not going to finish them. I'm not going to publish them. They will never see the light of day. At least I can talk about them as if they really exist. In Cannibal Clan, I wrote a book proposal for it. In German we say expose. That's a different word in German. It's a book proposal and a general description of the book, as well as I think the first 80 pages or so. And I loved those first 80 pages, but they were so dark and so horrible that neither Astrid loved it. Astrid hated every minute of it, of helping me rewrite it, and my agent hated it too. Everyone hated it. And they said, you cannot publish it. No one will read it, and you cannot. It's too horrible. It's the darkest thing you've ever thought of, ever seen. But I see it as not only the darkest thing. I see it as actually a grand vision of hope and love and humanity. But of course, it's about murdering and killing everyone and eating them. Sometimes when this book, I wonder if I've ruined lives with this book, even though it's not, it's not, no one knows about it. It's just me and Astrid and our agent. But the agent, shortly after reading this book and saying, reading the first, 50, 80 pages and saying, no one wants to read this, Eric, no one wants to. He was polite about it. But reading between the lines, he was saying no one wants to read this book and no one's going to publish it. Shortly after that, he quit agenting altogether, our agent, and went into the publishing. It took a job as as an editor at a publisher, and it's like, and I always wonder about that. Did we have something to do with that? Was this book so bad that he left agenting altogether? It's like the man who, he gives his whole life to this woman, and then she becomes lesbian. She says, okay, I've thank you for everything you've done for me, but I've found myself and I'm lesbian. So now I'm going to move in with this girl. And it's like, and the guy is standing there saying, is it me? Did I do this? Did I turn, is it my fault that I turned her into a lesbian? She was my girlfriend. She thought, she told me or imagined or pretended to be heterosexual. Now she's lesbian. Is it me? And I'm sitting here, going after having given Cannibal Clan to read to our agent. He goes off and quits agenting altogether. And I'm thinking, was the book that bad? Was it that bad that I want to influence people's lives and reach people and change people's lives, but not like this. I wonder about that sometimes. The mysteries of this guy. There was a lot of mysteries of this guy. Well, maybe it'll be different with our next agent if we ever find another one. But no one will ever do it. But I think the core of the story is this story is, what is our purpose? It's our purpose. We've been told, these two young lovers, they've been told that their purpose is to create a shining new world, a better world, to improve the world that God clearly made faultily, and then to ascend into heaven. But then when they fall in love, they realize that there is an alternative purpose, which is just to love each other, no matter what, which has nothing to do with any kind of higher purpose at all. It's love each other. It's two Nazis falling in love can love each other. That's still love. It has nothing to do with goodness or anything like that. It's just love. It's just two animals looking out for each other and being together and laying down side by side and saying, we killed that mouse today. That mouse will no longer threaten us. It's a good day. The cats. The purpose of life for a cat. And that's the decision. And I thinking about this, I wrote another little scene for Cannibal Clan. I think toward the end they have to try to kill each other. Basically, they have to say, no, this love thing, it's not going to work, and we have to go back to the original idea, which is, a spiritual purpose and because I have this spiritual purpose, you are a hindrance on my road to fulfilling my spiritual purpose, which is to fulfill a better life. You are on the opposite side of that, so I have to kill you. And I think that she has to try to kill him and shoot him, and then not know whether she has succeeded or not, and then realize what she's done and think about it, and then of course make the decision, the final decision, whether she wants to follow her animal amygdala purpose of love or a higher spiritual purpose of killing everyone who disagrees with her in order to make a better world. Man, I want to write that book. It's just really, really dark and no one's going to read it. So I think that's what the book is about. It's about spiritual purpose versus animal purpose. Well, I don't know if either are possible. Fulfillment. Love comes and goes. It's the animal purpose. There's something fraudulent about it because, it's DNA speaking. It's once you have the kids, you've served your purpose, and DNA doesn't guide you towards, through, the next, 60 years of love until you die. It's that DNA abandons you then once you've served your purpose of having children. But the thing is, you don't abandon the yearning for love. You don't leave that behind. It doesn't suddenly go away and say, now I don't need love. No, you still need it. Even though DNA abandons you, you don't abandon this ideal of love that DNA has suggested and whispered into your brain. It's just kind of unfair. But there it is. That's why we humans are so beautiful and tragic and grand at the same time. Because once we realize this ideal, even though it's an illusion whispered to us by DNA, we believe in it. That's it, folks. And thanks for listening. Tune in again next week or tomorrow or whenever it is I do this again. Whatever, I don't know. If you're interested in the things that are really important to me, I write them in books and I put them on videos. Check out my books on Amazon.com or my YouTube channel or my Twitter and Facebook feeds, or subscribe to my newsletter. That's kind of a lot now that I say it like that. Or any of the above, whatever. I hope I can contribute something to your life or to someone's life, anyone's life really, in some way. I appreciate your support, and I wish you all the luck and success and happiness and fulfillment in your life. Take care till next time.